So again, good morning, everyone. My name's Ed Riskin. I'm the Transportation Director here in the great city of San Francisco, and it's my great pleasure and delight to welcome you all here today to a great celebration. What we're celebrating here is the partnership that many of you who are here with us today have been part of that's gotten us to this point. We're celebrating the fact that we've gotten to this point, and most importantly, we're celebrating what the investment that the Central Subway will bring to San Francisco means for the future of this city and this region. I can't tell you what an honor and a privilege it is for me to be able to serve as the Transportation Director here in this great city. We've ordered some San Francisco weather to help keep the dust down. We are in an active construction site. But it's exciting to be Transportation Director because it's really a great time for transportation across the nation, largely because of some of the folks you're going to hear who are to my left and your right. It's also a great time to be in San Francisco because we have leadership here in the city that are encouraging innovation, that recognize the importance of investment and infrastructure, and there's no better manifestation of that, I think, than this project. And that spirit is manifested in a way that I can see no better or more strongly than in our great mayor, who is someone who, having been a public works director, a city administrator, helped build the city's capital plan, he really gets this stuff. He's very engaged in this stuff. I don't think a week has gone by since I've been in this job that he hasn't asked me when this day was going to come. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome you all and introduce to you the mayor of the city and county of San Francisco, Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed, and thank you for your wonderful leadership and our SFMTA. You know, over 25 years ago, when we were struggling with the earthquake, when people in Chinatown said, gosh, you know, we're really going to suffer, and if we're going to be participating in our great economy in San Francisco, we're going to have to find our way for better transportation routes to transfer people up and down, north and south of the city. And when we call ourselves a city as a transit-first city, there's no better example than that, than what's reflected than our plans for the Central Subway. This project is a vital enhancement of our public transportation system. It's going to significantly improve the movement of tens of thousands of San Franciscans. And if you were here this past weekend when people were predicting that it would be Jam Francisco instead of San Francisco, you knew that folks were educated because of the great leadership at our MTA, our county transportation, all of our transit systems. We're at the highest level of educating our public and our visitors about how to use public transportation, and we proved it. It will work for all of us. And as we build the more housing units that we've identified in Hunters Point, and as we build in Treasure Island, we build more and more and welcome more people to our great city, and we are growing as a result. We are going to have the greatest subway system because it can connect to our BART, to our Caltrans, to up and down our Muni lines. This Central Subway will be a great success. It'll connect to some of our most densely populated and rapidly developing areas, and it will improve access to all of our vibrant communities. And it really is investments like this that will foster loyalty among all of our public transit customers while we reduce carbon emissions, make our city greener and cleaner. I'm not the only one that thinks this way. As you know, I'm among many, many friends here today in the audience, on stage, and I would like to invite at this time someone who has made it a practice to visit our city regularly to make sure this project was being planned well, that the initial funds that were granted to us by President Obama, and with the great work of our congressional delegates, our Speaker Pelosi and Senator Feinstein, that we would make sure we were using it the right way and creating the jobs and creating the investment that people wanted to see. U.S. Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, please come and share with us this wonderful announcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, San Francisco. I am delighted to be here to celebrate with all of you three very important champions for this project. Senator Feinstein, who doesn't often call me, but when she does, I pay attention. And 4 years ago, when I went to see her about a number of issues, this project was #1 on her list. We need to get it done. We need to get to a full funding grant agreement. She has been a champion for this project from the beginning, going back, and I'm sure she'll tell you, I don't know how far. Speaker Pelosi, a champion for this project. Now, Speaker Pelosi doesn't call me very often, but when she does, it's always important. 4 years ago when I took this job, I went to see the Speaker. This was #1 on her list. How do we get this project done? Jackie Speier, a strong advocate for this project. You have three great champions. And I will also tell you that in working with Senator Boxer on the transportation bill, this project was always at the top of her list. So I am delighted to be here. I don't know of another place I'd rather be, and I know that all of you are so thrilled with the opportunity that this will create. Every one of you sitting out there deserves credit. You've all played a role in this in some way or another. This is not about you, it's about the people. It's also about the next generation of transportation for the next generation for San Francisco. That's what this is about. This is your vision. It's a clear vision. And so I am delighted and very proud to announce today $942 million to the San Francisco MTA to extend the Central Subway light rail system from the downtown business district to Chinatown. Thousands of people will be enabled with good transportation as a result of this project. Now, I have a long speech here, but I'm going to stop because I know every one of these other people has more important things to say. Thank you to the champions. Congresswoman Speier, Speaker Pelosi, Senator Feinstein, Senator Boxer, you are all well served in Washington, D.C., and the people will be well served by this project. Thank you, San Francisco.
Oh, gosh. Secretary LaHood, thank you very much for that wonderful news. Wonderful news. It's really, truly a great day for San Francisco. Great cities need great public transportation systems. And you know what? You know what makes our city great with all these leaders? They listen. They listen to our communities. They understand it because for years, our communities pleaded that we need better transportation systems. And what makes our leaders so great is they listen and they act. That's so wonderful. That is what standard we have for all of our public officials. Secretary LaHood, if you could, please thank President Obama for all of us. Yes. Because I know today we're going to spend a lot of precious moments thanking Leader Pelosi, Senators Feinstein and Boxer, Congressmember Speier, Administrator Rogoff, and all of our key federal partners for all of their work. We're going to also thank all of our community partners from Chinatown to Union Square to Soma, because all of them have worked really, really hard. These are not difficult, these are not easy projects, they're very complicated. And people had to work at the highest levels to make sure every aspect worked. And a person who has worked tirelessly for 20 years, who we joined this year in celebrating 25 great years of being in our Congress, who has sought in every stage to make sure that these funds were protected, to make sure we were doing our part, to make sure Congress is doing their part, all of the federal agencies. The person who first called me to share this great news that we are on our way out of the White House and into the Congress to wait our magical 60 to 90 days. Please give a warm welcome, Leader Nancy Pelosi, who's also keeping track on the Giants.
So, Mr. Mayor, you know I always listen perfectly attentively to every word you say, but I know you would have wanted me to say it's the bottom of the ninth and it's 1 out, and it won't be, in a matter of minutes, we'll have another cause for celebration. And you said Jam Francisco last weekend didn't happen. We may hopefully have another potential for Jam Francisco this weekend as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your kind words. Thanks, everyone, for the role that you all played in making this important day possible. I know I'm here with my son Paul, and he can attest to the fact that we are part of the 30 Stockton crowd. We used to take the 30 Stockton to go downtown, and we'd say, here comes the bus, here comes the bus, there goes the bus, because it was always crowded. Mr. Secretary, it would always be crowded, and today is one thing which contributes to the mobility of families, bringing people to work, to play, to visit, and to improve the quality of life, as the mayor said. Mr. Secretary, Secretary LaHood has been one of the truest friends to San Francisco. He has been a leader that has helped us make our case to the White House, to OMB, and the rest. As we celebrate today, we also have to recognize that this fits comfortably in an array of projects under his leadership as Secretary of Transportation and with the great leadership of President Barack Obama. Whether it was the Presidio Parkway, Transbay Terminal, the completion of 3rd Street Rail and the rest of that in recent years when he served in the Congress, and now as the Secretary of Transportation. He knows full well the role that Senator Boxer has played because he was a member in Congress of the Transportation Committee. And the consensus that she is building in the Senate on this is quite remarkable. So I'm honored to be here with Senator Feinstein and my colleague. The two of us take pride in sharing the representation of San Francisco, Jackie Speier. And what you see here, Mr. Secretary, is consensus. Our mayor, our great Mayor Lee, he's our consensus maestro. He brings people together. It listens, as he said, listens, and then we act upon the consensus of our community. So today's about consensus, it's about community, it's about here comes the bus and now we can get on it. But it's also about all the things the mayor said. It's about the quality of our air. Again, fitting comfortably in other projects in California that Secretary LaHood worked so hard on, that the two senators were instrumental in making better, and that we in the House also urged passage for the high-speed rail in the Central Valley. So whether it's mass transit, high-speed rail, Central Subway, 3rd Street Rail, Transbay Terminal, Presidio Parkway, and everything, San Francisco, what do we call it, Mayor? Transit first? Transit first. It's about jobs, it's about commerce, it's about quality of air, quality of life, it's about building the infrastructure of America, and in doing so with consensus and listening and leadership from the White House, we're able to be a model to the nation with projects of national significance so that other communities can follow our lead. And I joined the mayor in saluting the leadership of President Barack Obama Without his leadership, his priorities, without the work that is done in appropriations, had been done in Appropriations Committee, Diane's a senior appropriator. When I say senior, I mean high-ranking. Well, I was a senior member of Appropriations too, so I take the same. I take it as a compliment. But that's where a lot of this work is done. But without President Barack Obama and his commitment to build America, we wouldn't have this success today. And that's a national global vision, but it has an impact on every person who comes to San Francisco, especially those who live in San Francisco, and makes a great difference in the lives of our friends in Chinatown. And we salute their work as well, too. So thank you all very much for this very important day.
So please check that score for me again, Nancy. Our next speaker was once our mayor, will always be our mayor, one that has served so well in the Senate, and now, while she has a higher calling, she still finds the time to remind me, make sure I pay attention to the streets of San Francisco. But she has also been a great supporter not only of transportation, but this year she's also said we're going to make sure we protect the cleanest water system this country has, our Hetch Hetchy. Please welcome to the stage Senator Dianne Feinstein. Thank you very much for being here, Senator.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor Lee, Leader Pelosi, Jackie Speier, David Chiu. Most importantly, I think the finest Secretary of Transportation we have had. And Nancy said what he has done for San Francisco. I can tell you, this is a secretary for California as well. Whether it's Riverside County, whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's the Central Valley, whether it's the San Francisco Bay Area. Secretary LaHood has been responsible, he's been available for phone calls, he's listened to reasons for project, and he has moved ahead. Would you give him a big round of applause, please? Well, it's time to say a prayer. It's bottom of the ninth. They have 2 on and 1 out. So everybody, if the Giants win this, I think they can win the series. But they need to win this. So let it happen, please. I can't tell you how important I feel this project is. I also can't tell you how hard it is to build anything in San Francisco. So this project must move ahead. I think commerce depends on it, and I think people depend on it. Nancy said it very well, but let me just say what the ridership is expected to be. When this central subway opens in 2019, daily ridership along the 3rd Street line is estimated to be 43,700. This is expected to rise to 65,000 people per day in 2030. This project is estimated to have the 2nd highest ridership per mile of all subway and light rail proposals seeking federal funding nationwide, and it will be the most heavily used Muni line. That's the rationale for this project. No question it's expensive. It's worth it if people use it. It's worth it if they stay out of the automobile. It's worth it if it aids in creating space on our bus lines. So it is a very important project. I'm here to help in my way, which is as an appropriator in the Senate. Jackie has helped in her way. Nancy has helped in her way as the leader of a great political party in Washington. So, Mr. Secretary, everybody that's here, we thank you for our responsiveness. It's just great to welcome you here. And go Giants!
Mateo, County Supervisor to both houses of our California State Legislature. And since 2008, and then she's been in Congress fighting for jobs, for our economy and our environment. And she's been such a great champion of public transportation that even Caltrain named a locomotive after Jackie Speier. Please welcome Congresswoman Jackie Speier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Secretary LaHood. Thank you to our incredible leadership, Senator Feinstein, Leader Pelosi, Mayor Lee, for your great leadership, to David Chiu and the Board of Supervisors, to Chairman Nolan from the SFMTA. What a day. I am on pins and needles. Do we have anything else to report? It's 6-4, bottom of the ninth, still one out, and we think they're in the middle of commercials. I want to say to you, Secretary LaHood, I'm reminded of the song from Top Gun, Take My Breath Away. $942 million takes my breath away. And I must say to you, Mayor Lee, I think for $942 million, maybe we should get a leather flight jacket for Mr. LaHood to thank him for that great gift to our great city. The new money that is going to be used here is going to create 1,000 new jobs before the end of the year, with many more jobs to come after that. That is something to applaud. Thank you again, Secretary LaHood, for that. You know, this is 1.7 miles, very similar to the length of the Golden Gate Bridge, when 75 years ago that was built. Little did we know then what that bridge was going to create for the economy of San Francisco and Marin. So as we look ahead 75 years, it will be interesting to see what this 1.7 miles does for this region. You know, the Bay Area has become the Blue Angels of science. We do lots of stunts, and we are very successful at doing those stunts, and we do them at high speeds. And between this project and the project for Caltrain to electrify it, over the next 7 years, $3 billion is going to be spent regionally on transit here. And we can say thank you to the Secretary of Transportation and to the regional transit authorities who have created this opportunity for the transportation that will create a 22nd century of transit for the 21st century of jobs. So thank you to Secretary LaHood, and thank you to the leadership for all that we've accomplished here today.
Peter Rogoff was nominated to serve as the administrator of the Federal Transit Administration in the U.S. Department of Transportation in 2009 by President Barack Obama. Administrator Rogoff has presided over the disbursement of over $8.4 billion throughout the country through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and he has done so successfully, meeting every milestone established by that act, getting money into hands of transit operators whose budgets were severely strained by the worst economic downturn since our Great Depression. Please welcome FTA Administrator Peter Rogoff.
Well, thank you, Mayor Lee, and let me just say, as your Federal Transit Administrator, it is great to be in a transit-first city. As many people know, certainly as Rose knows, a rail connection has been promised to the people of Union Square and to the people of Chinatown for going on 2 decades. They made that promise because this corridor is the most densely populated corridor in the entire western United States that does not have an adequate rail connection. And that promise was made because we have the opportunity here to cut the commute for tens of thousands of people every day in half by this investment. The vast majority of those people don't own a car. They depend on transit. Well, today, through President Obama's leadership, Secretary LaHood's leadership, the vision of all these leaders here on the stage, we are here to commit $942 million to fulfill that promise. With the signing of this full funding grant agreement, we're taking $942 million paid by California taxpayers and returning them to California to create thousands of jobs now when we need them. We're also using those dollars to improve the quality of life and, as Jackie Speier pointed out, plan for the future and economic prosperity of this whole area. When this subway extension opens, as Senator Feinstein pointed out, there'll be 44,000 people using this light rail line. What she didn't point out is that will make it perhaps the second or perhaps the third busiest light rail line in the United States. This is an investment that needs to be made. And once it's built, gone will be the days when we have senior citizens watching the 30 Stockton drive-by, standing on line to get on a bus that won't stop. When they get on a bus that does stop, they have to then stand on the bus, and then that bus has to crawl through the same traffic as all of the cars and get there in way too long a period of time. What this will mean is you'll get into an elevator, down to the station, on a rail, and maybe get to your destination in as soon as 8 minutes. Now, for transit to succeed anywhere in the country, it has to be reliable and desirable. And we all know that investments need to be made to keep transit in the Bay Area reliable. Muni has its challenges. BART is actually running the oldest rail cars in the United States right now. Is it over? It's over. Congratulations, San Francisco. I thought she was cheering for old rail cars on BART, but I didn't think. But let me just point out, there's something that we at DOT have been focusing on a lot these days, and that is that the recent census has told us that the United States is going to have 150 million more citizens by the year 2050. And if we're not going to let that growth overwhelm us, we need to plan for it. And the way we plan for it is through transit investments like this one. We need to do both. We need to invest in the reliability of the systems we have, but we also need to invest in the expansion to accommodate the growth of tomorrow. So let me just say that it's very easy for me as Federal Transit Administrator to stand up and make these speeches, but I want to recognize the people that have really made this happen. Will everyone at the SFMTA and my Region 9 office please stand up who've been working on this project for the last 2 decades? These are the people who did the environmental work, the planning, the design, the staging, the construction planning, the contracting. These are the people that have made it work. The board members, please be recognized. Thank you for all your leadership. Thanks to all the leaders up here. We are going to reinvest in the system we have, and we're going to make great investments in jobs and prosperity for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We're going to get you up more whenever we win games. Well, next up to bat, President of our Board of Supervisors, Supervisor of District 3, where the greatest impact in the neighborhoods will be felt in a positive way for Central Subway. Someone who doesn't own a car, rides his bike everywhere, takes public transportation, and is learning how to ride a bike at night and watch for everything possible on the street, not to interfere with them. Board President David Chiu.
Good afternoon. I am so honored to be part of the second most significant San Francisco celebration today. In all seriousness, I am honored to be here representing not just the Board of Supervisors, but generations of unanimous votes at my Board of Supervisors over the year. Are they doing this for me? I want to thank Mayor Lee for his leadership over the years. I, of course, want to thank and welcome our Washington advocates. Mr. Secretary, you may think that it is not sunny today, but the sun is shining here. You are feeling our warmth. I want to thank you. I want to thank our Administrator Rogoff, and I want to thank President Obama. Washington, D.C. gets it. And of course, I have to thank our former mayor and Senator Dianne Feinstein. Her transit leadership began at City Hall when she oversaw the rebuild of our cable car system, and it's wonderful that you have been part of this and championing this for all these years. Congresswoman Speier, thank you for your leadership. And Leader Pelosi, I hope you don't mind the pun, but I want to thank you for your centrality in helping to shepherd the Central Subway. We have needed champions like all of you who are on the stage with us. Thank you for that. To the SFMTA, to Director Riskin and the MTA staff and everyone who is doing the work, to our TA staff, to our MTC, thank you for all that you're doing. Now, I had in my talking points a reference to the fact that we know you need the Central Subway if you get on the 30 Stockton, but apparently everyone else also had that in their talking points. At 3 miles an hour through the densest and most famous neighborhoods of San Francisco. As someone who doesn't have a car, I have, and millions of us have wasted countless hours trying to get through our downtown corridor. But I want to take a moment to thank the most important folks who are not here with us, and that is the people of San Francisco. For years before I joined the Board of Supervisors, I served on, with many volunteers, the community advisory group to the Central Subway, with countless volunteers from the Bayview, from Visitation Valley, from Mission Bay, South of Market, Union Square, and of course, thousands of residents and leaders from Chinatown, who went to countless public meetings, provided tens of thousands of signatures, and stood for years to work extremely hard for world-class transportation into the heart of our city. But we know we are building the Central Subway not just based on our history, but for our future. By the year 2040, we'll have over 100,000 new households, close to 200,000 new workers, over 400,000 new daily car trips. We have to prepare for the future. Now let me just close with a couple of quick thoughts. First, I believe that our Connecting Communities slogan, it is real. We are the greatest city in the United States, and we are an incredible city because our communities come together for our subway and for our giants. Second, we have to do more. We have to make sure that we're taking care of not just our daily needs on Muni, and not just our daily needs for our pedestrians, our cyclists, those of us in our cars, those of us who walk, but we have to make sure we are investing in our long-term projects. And then lastly, I just want to say one thing. We know over the history of time, great cities don't regret building subways. They regret not building them. Thank you.
Reverend Norman Fong has been praying for 20 years. He's been a great champion. He's had to collect all of his efforts for so many years to make sure our communities were served well. He's been an advocate. He's now the director of the Chinese Community Development Center, a center that's been invaluable to our growth in our community, to very well planned, to affordable housing, to transit, to open space, to the care for our seniors. Reverend Norman Fong, we've been recognizing your voice recently for Wells Fargo on the radio. Now we want to give great recognition to your voice again as a champion for this Central Subway. Come on up, Reverend Norman Fong. Oh, I look.
Okay, enough kisses. Yeah, that's true, huh? I'm gonna keep this short, but I also need your involvement. I was asked to do a blessing, but those of you who know me, I need everybody to bless. We need to bless each other, and today, I just want you to say these 4 words. Bless the Central Subway. Say that. Bless the Central. Now, whenever I say this word, this is it, I'm borrowing it from Michael Jackson, all right? Then you do the blessing, okay? This has been the moment we've all been waiting for. This is it. That's the Central. A community dream is being actualized. This is it. Communities from the Bayview to Chinatown are being connected. This is it. Affordable transportation is the lifeblood of all cities, right? Mr. LaHood? Okay. This is it. From Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, we're here to celebrate a federally supported and grassroots-driven transit project that represents access for all to jobs, healthcare, their families. This is it. Okay, a little extra. In the national playoffs of life itself, like Buster Posey, we just hit a grand slam. This is it. It's been a long and difficult road towards a new and more inclusive transit system for San Francisco neighborhoods. But we shall overcome. Am I right? This is it. Bless the construction workers, the policymakers, and those who sacrifice so much, you know who you are, that San Francisco can move towards a transit for the future. This is it. And bless all of you today on this wonderful day. Thank you.
Before I invite the final speaker, I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge Senator Mark Leno for being here today. Thank you very much. Big champion of transportation in our state. Steve Hemminger from MTC, thank you, Steve, for being here. Ongoing support. Got the SF Giants hat, yes. Mike Terrio, thank you very much for being here. Construction trades, we've been working with you and all the unions to get our folks trained for many years. It's a wonderful time. And the chairman of our San Francisco Metropolitan Transportation Agency, who's been a long-time champion of public transit, a regular Muni rider, someone who loved this city, has been at the forefront of not only a great transportation, but also has had his heart in our city in Project Open Hand and so many wonderful services as he's had. Please come on up, Chairman Tom Nolan.
Leader Pelosi helpfully asked me what I was going to say after Reverend Fong. I didn't really have a chant ready for that, but I feel it. This is a great day for San Francisco and for the MTA. It's been a labor of love for our organization. We know the economic and transit values of this. As an agency, we are committed, and I believe, Mr. Secretary, you'll be particularly pleased with this. We are not only committed to bringing this project to fruition on time, but under budget as well. Is that good? And we will continue to be vigilant of all of our assets and focusing on priority. Our priority number one, as always, is safety. This day is possible because of so many people who've done so much work here. Senator Leno's here, Dennis Herrera, Phil Ting, our assessor. We have a wonderful working relationship with FTA Regional Administrator Leslie Rogers, done a great job with us. MTC, Ann Lazarus from the MTC board. And so many others. Rose Pack from the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Jim Lazarus from the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, Caroline Diamond from the Market Street Association, David Nadelman from the Union Square Business Improvement District, Fire Chief Joanne Hayes, City Administrator Naomi Kelly, Mike Thiero from the Building Trades and Construction Council. Anytime I get a chance to speak about being on the MTA board, I always say I am so proud of what we do. Every single day we move 700,000 people in this city of about 800,000 people. And it's a very difficult task. We have a wonderful staff. We are so privileged to have a man of the talent and dedication of Ed Riskin as our executive director. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Riskin. And I couldn't tell you how proud I am. I couldn't be prouder to work with the people on our board of directors in the front row here. Christina Rubke, our newest member, Joel Ramos, our vice chair, Cheryl Brinkman, and Leona Bridges, also on our board. Malcolm Heineke couldn't be with us today, but we are all very proud to work together on behalf of the people of the city. And we are so happy to have John Fungi heading up this from the MTA's perspective. John does wonderful, wonderful work. So on behalf of all of the board and all of us, thank you, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Administrator, Senator Feinstein, Leader Pelosi, Congresswoman Speier, and Mayor Lee. And thank you all for being here. And I think now it's time to make this official. Let's sign that document, okay?
Thank you, Tom. And as we're getting ready to sign this Grand Slam document, let me make sure we give a great appreciation to our County Transportation Authority, who's been administering the funds with this great project, and a really great shout out to our Union Square Business Improvement District. I know there's a lot of businesses, big and small, that will suffer a little bit from the construction, but they're going to be patient. They know the result of this is going to be the great future of our city. So thank you to all of the businesses along all the route, to the Business Association is going to be communicating with them all this time, with all of our agencies. Decades from now, ladies and gentlemen, city residents in our city will really know that the vision started 20 years ago from today. We built a great transportation system we're going to be proud of, and this is part of our success, the greatest city in the world, San Francisco.
I definitely know. Are we all signed? My prayer was, if they lose, don't let it be during my speech. The whole screen was hit.